and welcome to the Stateside Soccer Show. My name is Jordan. With me, as always, is Logan. How are you today, Logan?
Jordan, I think we're going to refund people some listenership because we don't have Messi on the
Yeah,
podcast
no,
this
no
evening. So
Messi
I feel like
segment.
we've got
He
to,
didn't play,
yeah.
so
Yeah. So I feel like we owe our listeners another episode because he's not playing in this one. So
another episode.
I do apologize. Yeah, a free
Damn.
episode. Because we're behind a
Yeah,
paywall.
yeah. Go to our Patreon
Right. Go to
that
our
we don't
Substack.
have. Um.
Yeah. Gosh.
Yeah. So we will. We're gonna be talking all about week 2 of the MLS 2025 season, as it is or gotten started, man. This is Union were not a fluke week 1 here. They had to face a good Orlando team. They had to face a good Cincy team. Come out on top in both of those. And Orlando bouncing back, Miami slaughtering Houston in front of a bunch of Messi fans who were asking for refunds, and a whole bunch of stuff that we have going on here in the league today. All right. So I guess before we start into the actual matches, did you want to talk the Houston stuff here? I know you said you wanted to go into their little press release and you want to mention that or have a conversation about it. So I guess we can start there and then we can kind of go into the games proper.
Yeah. This is something that you and I talked about last year. As far as when Messi was missing games, you had people buying all these tickets. Going to these matches, expecting to see Messi. I mean, these tickets, Jordan, are selling for like at minimum $300 to go see Inter Miami for a good seat in most stadiums, most MLS stadiums. Even worse, I think, when you've got stadiums that are smaller or ones that sell out already, like a Mercedes Benz. So these fans buy tickets expecting to go see Lionel Messi, and seeing Suarez and Busquets is like that's like no. What am I trying to say? It's like, I mean, that's like seeing legendary players that you would never see on this stage and have never seen on the stage for MLS normally. But I think the expectation is that fans are buying these tickets on a resale market. The teams are not selling them for $300. The teams aren't really increasing the price of tickets. It's the off market that you're buying it, you're reselling it, ticket season, or the season ticket holders are buying these. But Jordan, I think we've got a problem. And I only say that because it's bringing a lot of negative attention. It's kind of like what the NBA's become. The NBA, I worry that its popularity is directly related to the fact and correlated to the fact that they rest players. That these fans are spending their hard-earned money, and especially when money's really tight, as the economy starts to do what it does, when it's harder to get into these stadiums, when you don't have the economy to back it, when people aren't making as much money as they once did, and the market and inflation is going up anyway. I still feel like, I don't know, like people can't afford to go to these games all the time. So they're spending, maybe, Jordan, what they would spend on 3 or 4 games on one to go see Lionel Messi play. And this isn't anything to knock against Lionel Messi. If he's hurt, I get it. I understand. But you're starting to get into like where the NBA is, where you've got this idea that Messi's not going to play half the games for MLS. And you and I talked about it, and I don't know really where I stand on this, but Houston Dynamo released a statement, Jordan, before the match starts. I think it's a day before the match. Houston Dynamo are excited to host Inter Miami at Shell Energy Stadium on Sunday evening. The recently shared player status report for the match did not include forward Lionel Messi, but it has been reported that he did not make the trip to Houston. Unfortunately, we have no control over who plays for our opponent. We look forward to hosting everyone tomorrow for what will be an incredible atmosphere and celebration of soccer for the city of Houston. To show our appreciation, fans who attend tomorrow's night's match can claim a complimentary ticket to future Dynamo match this season. Additional details will be provided early next week. So that's the statement they put out. Jordan, I kind of wanted to get your thoughts on it, because I think it's a good conversation and one that probably all podcasts are having at this point. But I just kind of wanted to get your thoughts on what happened and how we move forward.
So, as they say, they cannot control who plays for them. I've seen both sides of this, people freaking out online like this is why MLS is not serious, is because they have to come out and say this. Here's the thing. Or I also saw people say this is what MLS deserves or gets after only marketing Messi constantly. Regardless if Messi was promoted by MLS or not, this would be happening. How do all these people even want to buy tickets for Messi? Is because they've heard of him before he came here. It isn't just people being like, "Oh, I'm really into soccer and he's great. I'm going to go." It is people heard about Messi, whether from World Cups, from Barcelona, from Argentina, whatever, or they're actually soccer fans that live here that say, "I need to see this guy play sometime." Right? So, what does that do? He is his own hype machine. Even if MLS did not promote Messi at all, these prices would still be insane and people would still flock because they know Messi is on this team. How do they know that? He's one of the most followed athletes online. So obviously he would be posting like, hey, here's me in a Miami kit, and people would start following and looking at the schedule and say, let's build this all around this. The issue is you can't build the way you can on baseball, right? Like for NBA and for this, like the issue becomes, and even NFL, the way players get hurt or managing with load management, it is hard to guarantee you're going to see one of these players and spending all this type of money to go out there and make the trip. I have personally not seen Messi. I want to, but the issue is I don't know if I can actually afford a ticket to and build my night around it. And then this kind of thing happen where he doesn't show up, right? Load management, injury, whatever it is. However, he doesn't show up. It falls during international break, whatever. So here is where I think the smart thing is. While people are looking at this too one dimensionally, they say, this is an MLS team apologizing that their opponent is not playing the best player in the world. That's not what this is. This is Houston getting out in front of it the day before. So when they're people at the gate and they realize Messi's not in the lineup or in the squad, they don't go down to the ticket office and complain for hours and demand a refund. So what do? Instead? They say, hey, he's not coming. We apologize. But guess what? If you still come to this match, you will get a free ticket to another match. And what this is trying to do here is make fans, soccer fans that were going for Messi, into Houston Dynamo fans because they can see this and say, hey, Messi didn't show up for me. He didn't show up for me, but you know who did? Houston. And they actually invited me back for free to see another game that I can go to. And Houston even shared like a clip of somebody wearing a Miami jersey, and then you see them zipping up the Houston jacket over top of it. Like it was working, right? Like I think people blow this way out of proportion here. Um, and they acted like this was brand new when we saw it last year as well. So I don't know why people were acting like this is a whole new thing. Some of the teams did the same exact thing with, hey, free ticket or whatever, and you can come back. But this is a way to try to convert the casual soccer fan into, oh no, my night's ruined because I bought money to go see Messi. But wait, Houston says if I still go, I actually get a free ticket another time. And if I like it, or I like seeing live soccer anyway, uh, sure, I'll go see another game for free. Why not? Right? Maybe I was taking the kids and now I get another night out with my kids for free. Thanks to Houston for making up for this bummer that Messi couldn't play. It's like such a good PR move, and somehow people are trying to spin it into a bad one.
Yeah, I think honestly, I think passing the buck on to some of these superstar players. I get it, Messi's older, but I think there's a responsibility on the star player that if you're not hurt and you deem your like I understand. Like this was weird with the scheduling, and maybe MLS can be some to blame on this because MLS has a horrible they're probably one of the worst leagues as far as scheduling. Like then the coaches have been pretty adamant about that. But they're running into the same exact problem that the NBA is having, where there's just like Messi is a brand. Like Jordan, he's like a global brand, and it's kind of like he's kind of like the Globetrotters, where people will just follow him. It was kind of that same way with LeBron, and Messi could be the face of this league, and I think he's just to a point where his career, where this was more of seen as like he likes Miami. He's always wanted to play stateside, like he's made that very clear in the documentary, like where he wants to just be here. He likes the people, he likes the country, he likes just being here in Miami, and he likes playing soccer. But I don't think he's to the point now where he's going to be playing every match. And I think we understand that. But I also think there's a responsibility for Miami to get out ahead of these kind of things, where I think I don't know how you do it. And I don't know. Part of the problem is the ticket resellers. Like that's the biggest problem, is that we have these people that have to go above face value. Like if there was a way the team could restrict that from happening, you would have more fans, I think, interested in the game anyway. And I think they should do that across the board. Like Ticketmaster is a monopoly. Like it owns all the ticket resale market. So I don't know. There's just not a good way to fix that. And there is some blame on Messi, I think, here, where it's like I do blame him some for being. You come to this league, you got to commit to this league. If you're going to play, half the games, then what's the point of coming?
I don't
Like,
think he's going to play half the game. I think he'll play more than that. But the thing is, they are going through CCC, in which he
right?
is playing, right? And I would, if I'm Miami as well, I'd save him for home games over top of road games more
Yeah,
anyway, because a home game, my home fans are going to show up, and they're the ones that are filling the stands. So yeah, we get
right.
cut of that gate revenue. I'm gonna uh, have him play those games instead. But I think he'll play
Yeah.
more than like. Does it look great that it's this early into the season? No, but um, we saw last season he came out and played a lot to begin with, and he got injured and missed some time. So I think that's something we're not thinking about either. Is that with his injury last season? Because I also saw people be like, "Whoa, is Houston this bad or is Miami this good without Messi?" Even, and I'm like, they held their own last year without Messi. Like Suarez had 4 assists this game. He did a hell of a job last season with his workload when Messi was out. They still have Alba, Busquets, and I mean some of these younger players that they have. They are maxed out on DP and young 22 DPs. So they should be winning these games like this. So it's not all on him. I think we don't even know if it was his choice or not, right? Like obviously I think he would have played if he wanted to play, right? But um you also have to worry about they have CCC right now, which he had just played midweek. If they get knocked out of that, he might start playing more league games, right? Or there's going to be some sort of load management with it.
Yeah. But again, like it just,
My whole thing
I
is
think,
don't buy tickets just to see one guy.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
like, yeah, I would be bummed if
That's
he
hard to do.
I would be bummed if he missed a game too, if I went. But then you're also still seeing Suarez, Busquets, and Alba, and like, you know, that happens. It happens. I've actually lucked out with this type of thing because I ended up going to a Wizards uh Sixers game and miraculously somehow seeing a game that Embiid played, which is a
Yeah.
rarity.
Yeah. That's true. But it's the same thing with like LeBron and them. Like
That's
you
why I
show up to
haven't
these
bought
games and
tickets to a
LeBron's not
Lakers
playing.
game because they're
Right. Yeah.
insane, and then I'm like, I don't know if he's
And
gonna play.
right. And the Wizards are the break team. That's where you sit your guys because they're awful. But again, like it's
Exactly.
just there is still some of it, Jordan, though, that is still on the player to be fully committed to a league. I'm not sure he's bought into it. Like I'm not sure the way that he acts, the way that he won't talk to American press, he's not bought it. I think that's the part that grinds people's acts, is that he's just not. He's never been a face of the league. He's only been a face of the league because of his talent and his extreme talent. But he's never been this one to really go out there and like put himself out there on the line like you do. And I think that's what American people are having a hard time grasp with this league, is that MLS, it needs some of those divas. It needs some of those high energy, high profile type of players that are very vocal. Like, honestly, I think Ronaldo would have been better, honestly, for the league going forward than I think. And I get like he's got the personal issues, but like, I think going forward, he's got a bigger brand than Messi does. And people don't like him. People don't like Cristiano Ronaldo. They do love Cristiano Ronaldo. I think that divisiveness would have gotten more of the league like he's a villain. Messi's not really a villain. He's not somebody you just put a league on his back and go, good luck, carry it. Like he's just not that guy. Like he's never been that guy. Now, I will agree that if you got guys like Zaha coming and Kevin De Bruyne coming, and Insigne could have gotten there. Like I think those are the type of profile players that you need something to carry. I'm just not sure Messi can be somebody you hatch your trailer to and go, he's going to pull us through and become one of the most popular leagues because they're just watching him. And that shows by the people that don't show up to the games when
I
he's not
don't
there.
I don't know if I agree because I think Ronaldo fans would do the same thing. But like in my opinion, it's like you don't get Messi so he sits down with the press or anything. Like you get Messi for his skills on the game and who he brings over. And eventually, the fact that this guy played in this league is going to sell those players overseas that this league is legit. The same way it did when Beckham came over. But like Messi is a much better player than David Beckham ever was. So you get he is a more quiet, soft spoken guy that doesn't like I feel what you're saying is like take the limelight like a Zlatan or something, right? And make it about
Yeah.
himself.
Yeah.
But
They need some of that.
I think it's fine that he doesn't. Like the thing he's selling is the MLS season pass because the worldwide people are going to tune in for him. And then what he's selling is the American soccer experience to players that are overseas that are at a higher level than we've usually gotten over here that will come over here. You know, players like I don't think Luis Suarez comes over here if not. I don't think Alba comes over if not. I don't
No.
think
Yeah. I don't
Busquets.
think so.
I don't
Yeah.
think like if De Bruyne comes over, I don't know if he would have came over without Messi, right? Or maybe he
Well,
would
he
have
was talking about it
yeah, but
before
maybe he would have
Messi.
waited later instead of as early as he's trying to
Yeah.
get over here. Like there's going to be players
Yeah.
that they'll see this and see how I mean, Messi, they won the supporter shield. Great. They didn't win MLS Cup, so they can even say even the best player can't even win there. Like that's insane. That level is a lot better than I thought it was. Then you know it can create different things. I think. I don't know. I just don't think he is more over here for the fact that Apple can market him as you know, seeing putting that commercial after the Super Bowl, that kind of stuff. So buy our subscriptions. He's doing wonders for the attendance when he does show up. It's just the downside of that is when he doesn't show up, it becomes news because of how expensive it was. If people weren't jacking up the prices of it, I don't think we would get as much coverage of like, oh my god, he's not playing. You know,
No, I agree with
so I
that.
think
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
that part of
I
that
agree
is
with
the
that.
scalpers, and I blame them too.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. No, those are good points. Like I again, I just I feel like there's just needs to be more. There needs to be more. That's ultimately what it is. And I think you and I both agree on that where there's a problem with this and we've talked and people have talked about this the star power it's just not there yet. It's going to get there. It's just not there yet. And I think you had some of it with when you had Gucho at Columbus. He's like that. He's that kind of player. He's got that kind of profile. I think Lucho is like that. I think he's a lot like that. I think Chucky Lozano would have been more like that. But I just feel like you've got some of these star players, Jordan, that just kind of have fizzled and they haven't really done much to propel this forward. Now, I agree with you. I think Messi playing here did put more focus for some of these European players. I'm just not sure he's the one that's going to put a league on his back to carry it. They need somebody they probably need somebody that's young and that is going to stay, but that's going to be a while.
yeah, and I'm not sure if we actually need him to carry it or anything. Like what
Yeah.
the hope you would have is like when you talk about like when you talk about the young or like the stars, and you mentioned like Chucho and Lucho and all these players that don't even come close to a marketable star to get people actually interested in MLS, right? They don't even come close. There's nobody that is, over in Spain being like, Chucho Hernandez went to the Crew. I'm gonna have to watch that. Like nobody's
Yeah,
doing that, right? Like,
yeah,
so what the hope is, you get players like Messi over here, and then when you see Messi go up against Chucho and he's scoring goals, people are like, oh, look, he's pretty good. He's pretty cool, And then the main goal is you get more eyes on the league with Messi, and then you hope they fall in love with the other stars. Uh, and then they'll become bigger stars. What you really need is a team like the Pistons to Michael Jordan's Bulls. You need
yeah.
somebody that
That's
goes
true.
up against
Yeah,
Miami constantly, plays them a lot, and has a and can have a star
that's a good
like
point.
a Ricky
Yeah,
Puig, like if LA Galaxy was going up against Miami a lot, or if Atlanta, if Atlanta takes off, which they haven't so far, but if
yeah,
they take off and they're going up against Miami a lot, and they have somebody, then like the people overseas will be like, oh my god, this Messi versus whoever is really doing it for me. Look at them tackle each other here. Look at them go score a goal, and then Messi goes and scores a goal, and then that person scored a goal, and then like you need that the Messi Ronaldo, you need that in the States. So that way, when the people that don't like Messi have somebody to root for, the people that like Messi have Messi to root for, and it becomes these like really good games where it's like gritty, rough, uh, you know, like the El Clasicos were. That's what you really need, and you need it to be on Miami's team, not just like, hey, Miami's in this league. Check out El Trafico, where he's not featured, but it's really good all the time. You need something with Miami having that. But with that's kind of the downside of this league being still expanding is you have these new teams like Miami who don't really have a rival, right? We call Orlando a rival because they're in the same state. We call Atlanta a rival. But other than Atlanta winning the postseason, they haven't had like constant rivalry games because guess what? Miami was kind of irrelevant before Messi joined, and they were only around for a couple years before Messi joined. Um, that's your downside that you have with this league is there is like he didn't go to a historic team that has a historic rival like Barcelona does. That's kind of the downside.
Jordan. You know who does have that kind of talent? Ty Baribo with the Philadelphia Union. We can launch into the next
Yeah.
deadline because we've spent a lot of time on Messi. But Jordan, your thoughts on Mr. Ty Baribo, a guy that Jim Curtin just absolutely shunned last year, and
Yeah,
now is
I've read some conflicting things on like why he didn't play. I'm like, obviously there was rumors that he didn't train well. There was also he was brought in to be Carranza's replacement, and then Carranza um, did not agree to a move. So then they ended up carrying Baribo and Carranza at the same time until the middle of the year, and then Carranza left. So then Baribo was able to take over. But I still think Baribo could have been subbed in instead of Chris Donovan last year, quite a lot. But maybe it was because Baribo was hurt by not getting starting. He didn't train well, and that created this perpetual cycle. Um, yeah, Baribo, man, this is his second player of the match day. He won one last year. Um, I felt so validated that I wasn't just being a homer when I put him on my ballot. A hat trick. I mean, come on, a hat trick.
yeah,
I think that
yeah.
trumps 4 assists because you're actually scoring them. Um, but it was look, I went into this game thinking this is Cincy, right? Like Orlando, they were good last year. I don't know how they are this year. You and Matt not high on their depth and stuff right now. So I was like, well, maybe this will just be like the first crack that Orlando is not good. And by the end of the season, we'll realize it was just two middle of the pack teams going up against each other. But then I'm like, Cincy is going to be tough. We had, when we were recording last week, Genki was scoring in the episode for the CCC. And I'm like, yeah, it's going to be tough. He missed a sitter in the Union game in the game this weekend. But but the Union just went out there and scored and then scored and then scored, and I was having a ball 3-0 at one point. I was like, this is fun. This is fun. What is this season? And uh, two good teams in the East that they have dispatched. And I'm starting to get vibes that maybe Bradley Carnell is bringing what he brought to St. Louis in their inaugural season. Um, you know, I don't think we're winning the East, but like the fact is that this team might actually be a lot better than everybody had thought they were. And if that's the case, I'll eat crow. Um, I'm not somebody that usually like tries to dodge that the way some people are on like online or I never said that type of thing. Like I've told people before I thought Curtin should have got fired when we were losing Open Cup finals, and then eventually we were one of the best teams in MLS. So I kind of had to eat crow on that. And then if he comes in, Bradley Carnell, and he um, gets this team looking so much better than we were last year, then maybe it would be the right move to have moved on from Curtin at that point. And this squad is looking pretty darn sharp. The Jack McGlynn trade is even looking good. He kind of created one of the own goals with like created a goal to Miami with the way that he was playing out the back with Houston. And the replacement that they brought in for McGlynn has been outstanding. Like uh, we'll see though. We'll see if it continues. But I'm actually, last year they were undefeated for quite a bit of time. And, as we were talking with Jose from Goals, right? Back and forth on there, people were like, hey, we don't actually believe in this team. And it's not that I really believed in them last year, but it was like, hey, they're still undefeated. Like they're not even playing good and they're undefeated. Wait until they get on a roll. And then that roll never came last year. This I already feel much better after 2 games this season than I did at the beginning of last season when they were undefeated. Um, I mean, look, they've given up 3 goals, right? And they've given up they've scored 8. It's a goal differential of 5. They're top of the East right now. Like never in my wildest dreams after the offseason we had, after the season we had last year, that I think this team would be top of the East even 2 games into the season.
Yeah. No, I mean, I agree. I do like, I mean, is it Damiani? Is that how you say it? Like, bring in
Yeah.
another striker who I think is going to be pretty decent in this league. Got a goal. Um, I feel like, and Quinn Sullivan. I I think there's a lot. I think Quinn Sullivan's going to get the hey, don't forget about me. I'm really good too. Like Gavin Sullivan gets all the attention. Hell, he gets a whole episode about him, and Quinn's just barely featured in the third episode of the Onside docu series. I think Quinn's going to feel that, and Quinn's been one of the best midfielders in the first match days. Like he's been excellent, and then you have Daniel Gazdag, who I think people forget how good he was. He was an MVP level player. So you add in all these things. Mikel Ura, I feel like there's talent there, and I think wildly enough, Bradley Carnell, and I'll eat micro there too. Is could he be a better ideological coach for the Philadelphia Union in the way that they want to play than Jim Curtin was, because that formation looks different. That idea of the diamond has gone away. Like this looks like a better team, Jordan. And I think that it's infused with a lot more youth than what they had. They kind of got rid of the pieces that they needed to get rid of, and they brought in some youth. And I think that does wonders with what Bradley Carnell wants to do. Bradley Carnell wants to press. I think this team is very physical. I mean, very, very physical. So they did. They basically took all the old heads and went, "Yeah, we're good." And a lot of us had some judgment about that. But Jordan, I think your Union might actually be like that dark horse that's going to be consistent in the Eastern Conference. They're going to score a lot of goals, and we've always known they can defend. So, I mean, I'm impressed with the way the Philadelphia Union have played, and Orlando, I think, is good. The way they played against Toronto, like you saw signs there that I was like, okay, this is a top team in the East still.
That was my game of the
We need
week,
just need some
right?
depth.
I
Yeah,
said,
yeah.
let's see
So,
how they do. Like, do they
yeah,
rebound? They rebound it
yeah,
very well.
yeah. So I don't think the Union putting that much up on Orlando and then doing it against Jordan. People forget Cincinnati has one of the best defenses in the league too. So
Mhm.
for them to go up against them and do that, and then Orlando's not like great defensively, but they've had moments. and they just destroyed Orlando at home. So it was like, yeah, I'm impressed, Jordan. Match day 2. If I had to overreact, Philadelphia Union right now are the best team in the league. Somebody's got to take them down off of that.
Cool. Sounds good to me.
So far, so good.
And that's the thing too. I know sometimes people might be shocked that I'm so open about being wrong because sometimes people don't. But like, I'd rather be wrong than be right in this situation because I want the team to do well. So, hey, if I have
Yes.
to eat
Yeah.
20 pounds of crow, I'll do it. Like, that means that the team is doing very well. So, there you go. But no, yeah, I had voted Baribo and Suarez as my 1 and 2 for match day of the week, player of the match week or whatever. And you said you were the same, right?
Ditto. Yep.
And so was most of the Soccer Reporters Association because they put out the little post about the percentages, and that was pretty much it. Somebody did have Zaha. Zaha did have a good game. He had like a goal and assist, but look, scoring a goal is scoring a goal, but that goal was not like a beautiful goal or anything. So I did knock some points down for Zaha in that regard. It's one of those where it like hits really weird. It probably hits his shin instead of the the foot, and then it goes into the goal or whatever. Okay, for in the Cincy side of it though, like what do we think of them? Because right now they're winning in the CCC again. Here, I got Denki assisted this one. But week 1 they beat New York barely 1-0, right? Then they go to Union, lose 4-1, and a shock. I think most people had probably Cincy penciled to win that game or get a draw at least. Next week, Cincy is going to have because right now they're beating Tigres in the round of 16. They go up against Toronto. Is this just going to be Toronto's MO for the season? Are they going to be the team that people get right with after they lose to the Union?
Agreed. Yeah, agreed. So just follow the Toronto and whoever Union play.
Wouldn't it be funny if that's
So
how it
like,
was though?
right.
Like that's how they made the schedule. Is like, all right, you played Union last week, so you play Toronto this week, and then
Yeah,
like that would be hysterical throughout the whole rest of the season. Just whoever we beat, Toronto has to face next.
I think so. But no, Jordan, I don't think there's any concern with Cincinnati. There is that one team that always starts slow with CCC, and they could be that one this year. But I again like their advantage, I think, will be that they do. I do feel like they're a little bit of a deeper team than normal. Than that go into these because sometimes I felt like Seattle wasn't very deep and they had a lot of injuries. And I know Cincinnati's struggled with some injuries lately, but and especially defensively. But like I don't know, I feel like Cincinnati, I feel like they can weather the storm a lot better than what I think some of the other teams will have done. And plus, I still am in that agreement of like, I don't think the Eastern Conference is very good. Like, I think you have 5 or 6 good teams. And then after that, they're all really bad. So I think they'll benefit from that.
Okay, let's also you have it here. Baribo, 4th player in MLS history to score 5 goals in his first 2 games of the season. Chicharito in 2021, Akinola in 2020, and Brian Ching in 2006. So there you go. He might be a huge factor in the Golden Boot race because he's already leading that. He's got what, 4
That's
goals,
incredible.
5 goals?
Yeah, that's like a fourth of what normally the Golden Boot winner has anyway.
Yeah, I
That's
know, right?
nuts.
Like that's 2
That's 2
weeks. All
matches and
right,
he's
great.
already fourth all the way through. It's insane.
5 goals in 2 games. Yeah, that's crazy. All right, LA Galaxy lose to Vancouver 2-1. Brian White scoring a late winner. Galaxy 0 points after 2 matches. Are we concerned? I am not because I predicted they would have a slow start to the season. So for me, this is going as scheduled right now.
That's not the question though. Damn it, Jordan.
Well, I'm not concerned.
I would be concerned with where you have them finishing. I think because what you had them third or fourth, right?
I had
I
him
can't
5th, I
remember.
think,
In
actually.
fifth.
So
Yeah.
I feel
That's where I would be
I
concerned.
feel better.
You know,
I feel better about them being 6. Item 6.
See,
They'll get it
I would
going
be
once they
concerned
get
if I was a
healthy.
Galaxy fan. That's true, and that's a huge piece missing. So, but I am concerned in the fact that Jordan. I don't think that they're the best team in the league anymore. I don't
Oh, it's the
buy
Union.
that. I can't buy that. Yeah, well, I mean, I've said it. So, they're not the best team in LA right now.
Oh
That's a
yeah,
hot
yeah.
take,
No,
but
they're not. Not with their
they're
injuries.
not the best team in LA. So, but I'm concerned by the slow start just because Ricky Puig is a long way out, Jordan, and
But they can get paint still.
yeah, but again, those soft muscle tissue injuries and paint still being as quick as he is, like those are usually pretty tough to kind of bounce back
Yeah.
from. So like, and Peck is constantly in transfer rumors. So I think it's going to be like a replenish. I think they'll make the playoffs. I just don't think that they're not the team to beat.
Tigres just tied it up against Cincy. Okay, if you are an LA Galaxy fan though, and I understand that the goal is MLS Cup, blah blah blah. You've won 6 MLS Cups. The last one before this was a decade ago. Last year, you win one. If I'm a Galaxy fan, I'm not sure I'm really worried about this season anyway. Like, especially once Ricky Puig got injured, and then you have Paint still injured at the beginning. It's like, you know what? Yeah, reload. We run this back next year. This year, we're still high off of that MLS Cup because, like, it's really hard to repeat. We don't get it a lot in this league. We don't get it a lot in US sports, right? And it's really hard to do. Just have a good season where people don't get seriously injured the way Ricky Puig did, and then be healthy for next season, and they can get going again. You know,
Yeah, yeah. And as a fan that has won a title in the last decade, I can honestly
I
say
can't
Jordan
say
won
that
18
anymore.
wins, and
13 years. In the last 13 years,
right,
my team has
but
won.
like,
Yeah,
is it cool to try to defend the title? Absolutely. But like, I was living on a high of the Cubs winning in 2016 World Series. Like, I was okay until about 2019, being like, okay, like, fair enough.
I'm still
Like,
good. I,
we'll hit,
I, my last championship was the Ravens 2012 to
yeah,
2013 season. I want the Orioles to win or the Union to win. I've seen the Ravens win too. Like I can let's where's what genie can I make a deal with to get one of my other teams to win? Um so yeah, but I know that you also have your spoiled fan bases. Not that Galaxy is anymore really, but like you have your spoiled fan bases like your Kansas City Chiefs fans that were going for a three-peat, and they're probably still you probably still saw people crying in the stands at the Super Bowl, and it's like
yeah.
you won 2 before this, like relax. And you won another one
Boston
that wasn't in
fans,
a row, like relax.
yeah.
Uh
Boston in the last 20 years have won
yeah,
almost every title there could be.
insane.
So, like, calm down. You don't need the Revs to win anything.
Right. Well, you know what? And the Revs are holding up
Well, they're
their
not Boston though,
bargain.
Jordan.
They're holding up their
They're not
bargain with that.
Jordan. They are not Boston. How dare us?
Well, does that mean the Patriots aren't? 'Cause they
Correct.
play at the
That's what
same
that guy on
stadium.
Twitter said.
Yeah.
That's what the guy on Twitter said.
But yeah, the Revs holding up their end of the bargain with that. They're not winning anything anytime soon. Okay, let's talk about on the Vancouver side of it. Good for Vancouver, right? They've been starting out pretty well this season. Um, so you got to feel good if you're a Vancouver fan. Um, they just beat Saprissa on the CCC last week. In the West, I have to pull up the standings. I haven't done this season. They're 6 points after 2 games. They're in second place of the West. Really, if you look at this Western Conference top 2, you would think this is like the bottom a couple years ago. It was San Jose, Vancouver here.
Yeah, if you really want to play a fun game, the first 4, and you'd be like, wait, what? No, that's not true. But yeah, San Jose, Vancouver, and San Diego
In
are
the
all in
top
the
4.
top 4.
LAFC is in there. That's to be expected.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about Charlotte. They win 2-0 over Atlanta. They had a draw against Seattle week 1. Here they come. Charlotte, I doubted them this season. They're holding their own. They're 4th place with 4 points on the season. Um, with a win and a draw, and they beat an Atlanta team that I was really high on. So far, everything coming up, Charlotte and Zaha got off to a great start for them in their blue and white colors.
Just one goal. That's all you need. That's all I say. You just got to see one go in the back of the net, and he saw it in his debut. So I'm hoping he has success. Like it's tremendous for the league if he has success. And Charlotte Jordan, again, every time I watch them, they're so cohesive defensively that I really do. I think Dean Smith has unlocked that ability to defend some of these top teams, and that takes you a really long way in MLS. Like you can be pretty average in goal scoring as long as your defense is good. You can hang in there with about the top 4 or top 5. So looking good so far for the Crown.
Yeah. Yeah, he looked good. Atlanta, it's just one of those things where I think it's going to take them a little bit to really get going. Um, last week they came back, battled back against Montreal, won that game. We were kind of high on, hey, at least they came back and won that. This game they weren't really uh, in it in that sense. They weren't really getting it going. But yeah, so now Charlotte has to go up against Inter Miami next Sunday. So we'll talk about that when we preview games. But Atlanta might just need a little bit more time to get going. Here's a team that doesn't need any time to get going: San Jose, atop the Western Conference. They beat SKC 2-1. They have a red card as well in this game. Joseph climbing the all-time goal scorer list. He's now tied for 6 with Bradley Wright Phillips, BWP, and Joseph Martinez neck and neck in the 6th place with 117 goals. Joseph Martinez is now, what is that? 16 behind Jaime Moreno for 5th, and well behind Chris Wondolowski for 1st. Chris Wondolowski with 171. You're going to have to shift around that 117 to get even close to 171. But hey, Joseph Martinez climbing up to 6th place with Bradley Wright Phillips, tied. It's got to feel good. I just don't know how much more he's going to be able to climb up the list. I think he's probably going to finish above Bradley Wright Phillips, but still maybe below Jaime Moreno. I don't know like how many goals he's going to be scoring, and he's getting older. Like I worry about the longevity here, but it is still a pretty big deal here that he is here. And that the Quakes, of course, won 4-0 over RSL week 1. They win 2-1 over SKC this week. They started off hot. It was like 2-0, and I was like, man, this San Jose team. Then they get the red card, then a goal, and all that kind of stuff. But San Jose under Bruce Arena, top of the West. They're playing well. What do we make of this team?
Well, just real quick on the goal scorer thing. Ty Baribo should catch them in a couple of weeks. That's going to be pretty
Yeah.
cool. But no, all joking aside, Jordan, I'm just so impressed with this. Like, Jordan, this is a team that you and I have covered now for 5 seasons, and they just have been such a laughing stock. Like, there has just never been much of a bright light for San Jose. And I think Christian Espinoza might be the only one that's been a really bright spot. Cade Cowell had moments, but Jordan, again, Bruce Arena effect, he's going to make your team good. Like, he takes over the Revs. They're good. He takes out over a San Jose team who were the laughing stock of the league. And Jordan, they've scored 6 goals and only allowed 1. They're cohesive defensively. They know what they're doing in the attack. Christian Espinoza is one of the best wingers in this league, if not the best. Like, there's so many things going right for this team. And then you add in Chicho, who I think people forget about. Like, this guy has MVP level talent. And I think Bruce could unlock that. And here he is scoring. And it's just, there's so many things that I think are going right. And Bruce is only going to get this team to be better. Like, he's only had one transfer window, Jordan. Like, this guy is going to be able to build something here in San Jose. And I think also, I've never seen it, but I know you have, they have one of the best fan bases when they are active. Like, when San Jose fans are active in what this team is doing, they are a very good fan base. And I'm excited to see what San Jose does, because I do think it's been a long time coming, Jordan. And I think Bruce Arena might be the answer.
Yeah, not much else to say to that for me. SKC side of things, to be expected. So where they sit 0 points. Negative 2 goal differential. Actually, I guess maybe not as to be expected because they're actually probably 2 spots higher than I would have expected. But that's where they sit. All right, DC United against Chicago. This is Greg Berhalter, Chicago, everybody. They go out there, they have a 2-1 lead, and they're about to hold on to it until the 96th minute when Jacob Muriel does this. Some people call it scissor kick, some people call it bicycle kick. It looks more bicycle to me. Gets this bicycle kick looping into the top left corner of the goal, and at the death. It's his second career goal. Just what I mean, Benteke also scored, of course. So he also missed a penalty kick. Then maybe we're talking about them winning if everything else played out the same way. But yeah, just DC just playing DC ways. Like I don't know, like it seems like for a while this is how they've
Yeah.
been. They just it's like, oh, we're
Yep.
not playing so great. Oh, last minute equalizer. That's crazy.
Yeah, and it's always like these Jordan. I think these are awful teams playing each other. And Chicago will be better, I think. But like, yeah, to have a Chicago DC, a Toronto DC, like to have those back, that's some solid scheduling right there. Like, get the bad ones out of the way. This just had that just reeked of just not great teams playing against each other. That kick though, definitely intentional. Like the way that he
Oh yeah.
floats it, I was like, oh, that was definitely planned. Like, you know how sometimes they accidentally mishit it and they're like, oh, that worked out. This one was like 100%. He knew exactly what he's doing. It was just like a loft over the goalkeeper. This again, people are like, this was one of the best I've ever seen. I was like, that's hard to argue against. Like, it's one hell of a kick. Like, it's almost outside the box or just outside the box, and like falling backwards and to be able to put that on that arc into the left hand corner, like that was unbelievable. So good goal. That might be the highlight of the season for them.
Look, we've come a long way from other late goals from DC when they had Rooney and Lucho and they did that. You know, Rooney saves it by slide tackling, get the ball, pump that thing up into Lucho, who heads it into the goal for like I think it was a late winner equalizer. I forget which one it was. For DC, huge, huge. Sadly, this team is not just again, it just feels like they hit the reset button every year. The fact is that like other Benteke, like I can't tell you who was probably there last year because like I feel well now I know Jacob Muriel obviously, but I mean like they've become a team that before they were so consistent. They had like Bill Hamid, they had Chris Pontius for a while, then they also had Birnbaum in the back, and they were like a pretty like they had the same players, Nick DeLeon, Andy Nahar, like they would have these players for good stretches of time, and now it's like, especially once Ben Olsen left, just a rotating cavalcade of managers, GMs, and then one of them leaves, and then we're also like hiring a new coach, and then once the coach leaves, we're gonna fire the GM, or like it's just constant shifting for DC, and it's who knows what's ever going to happen there, but I feel like they're wasting some good Benteke. If Benteke was able to play for another team, he could help them win an MLS Cup, but unfortunately, he's stuck with DC. So what I'm saying is, Philly, let's make a trade. Get Benteke on the field. Good depth.
He'd look great in purple.
Good depth. Well, Philly doesn't wear purple. RSL beat Seattle 2-0. This was a stunner for me because I really didn't think this RSL team was going to be any good. They have their home opener where I've been, and they win 2-0, probably because I wasn't there. And Seattle just haven't been getting it going this season either. So they're going to have a little bit of a slow start here. They sit in 12th place with 1 point, negative 2 goal differential. Are we worried at all about Seattle, or is it just like, hey, there's these Dallas guys have to get adjusted to here. We got to get people into the team. Like we saw them. What was it last year? They started off slow and then kicked
Yes.
off. So I feel like
Yeah.
that's going to be how they
It's
go
their
this year.
MO right now. Yeah, it's their MO. It's veteran players that, and especially when you add in new blood and guys that are very ball dominant, especially with Paul Arriola and Jesus, like it's a change. It's a learning curve. This is a huge loss to me. Like the Charlotte draw is okay. Like Charlotte, a good team. Play them against, you're at home, but I feel like Charlotte defends well enough where I just feel like this is a really bad RSL team, Jordan. Like, and I know it's hard to win on the road in MLS, but like this was almost like they didn't even get off the bus. So not a good loss, and probably some points that they'll need at the end of the season. But I'm not worried about Seattle.
All right, let's talk about Orlando beating Toronto. Alex Freeman with a first goal in his first start. He has played 2 matches. Our research team clarified that for you.
Yeah, he did. So I was like, I'm glad Matt remembered because I honestly, that game was so bad against Philadelphia. You could have run out there, Jordan. I'd have been like, oh, I didn't know you're out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was not
When
happy
you're
after the
losing like
Philadelphia.
4-1, you're like, what am I even
Who
like?
cares? Yeah,
Yeah.
like what am I watching?
What am I
Yeah,
watching
I'm
right
not
now?
paying attention to Alex Freeman coming on as some mop up minutes.
Yeah.
So, but
But he
it
signed a
happens.
homegrown contract back in 2022.
He
He's
did.
played for Orlando City B, comes
He looks
in,
great.
uh, ends up scoring a goal. But yeah, a get right game, right? They played Toronto,
Yeah,
and they tore it up.
yeah. They'll still
Transitive
struggle.
property. Philly beats TFC like 8-1
Yeah, I think that's how the math works, right?
because they scored like
Um,
4 on Orlando. Orlando scored 4 on Toronto. So I feel
yeah,
like yeah, that's got to be transitive property.
yeah. Toronto looked really bad. Definitely wooden spoon contender, like straight up bad team. Just
They
not,
sit right now
just
with 1
nothing.
point. They're in 12th.
There's nothing exciting about them. Like, just got a bunch of dudes. It's just like, okay, like Jonathan Osorio, good player. Bernadeschi, good player. Like Longstaff, okay. They got some decent talent, but it's also like, what do you do with them? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I hate these teams, and Toronto's been this way for a while now, Jordan, since I've covered the league. Like, they've just been like this hodgepodge of collection of players that it's just like, what do we do? Like, what are we doing with this team? There's no direction. There's no alignment, and let's get youthful. Let's get rid of the old players. Let's not. Like Insigne is still on their roster. He didn't even come to the games. It's like, this is a disaster. So, ugh, would not want to be in that spot.
Yeah. We have let's talk about San Diego. First match at Snapdragon Stadium, 0-0 draw with St. Louis. I watched most of this game here. 34,506, largest crowd for a sporting event in Snapdragon history, which is like, what was Snapdragon used for before this? Do we know? Like,
I mean, it was soccer specific. I think I don't know if it was
I'm gonna
actually
look it up.
used for anything else. Did the Loyal play there at some point? I'm assuming they did. That's just a guess, though. Like I think it's a soccer specific stadium.
Okay, so it opened in 2022, and the San Diego Wave have played there for NWSL. The Aztecs, the school, state Aztecs, play there for something. And Major League Rugby team play there. Okay, so just as I thought. Just as I thought. This is stupid. what I mean, this whole like them saying that like, hey, this is the biggest crowd in the history of the stadium. The stadium's 3 years old. What are you talking about?
It's like the stadiums that first opened. This is the largest crowd
That's
we've
what I
ever
was
had. Like, just
waiting.
the first
That's what I was
game.
waiting for. It was to be the first game. Largest crowd in our history. It's game
Right.
one. But no, the stadium's been open for not even 3 years, because it was August of 2022. So obviously, look, the only team that had a chance to really beat this number would have been the Wave, because I doubt like San Diego State Aztecs were um drawing in a big crowd. Especially, it doesn't say what, like, if it's just soccer for them, then yeah, like college soccer doesn't really get like uh
Like 100,
yeah, that's
200
what it
people,
is. It's
maybe?
it's San Diego State Aztecs women's soccer and men's
Yeah,
soccer. Now they
maybe
did
100 to
okay,
200.
so there were some friendlies with Club Tijuana, Club America that got like 22,000. Mexico and Cameroon got 30,000. So they filled that out more. Oh, and CONCACAF Gold Cup semifinal. So they have had some games there. Wrexham played Manchester United there and stuff. But yeah, that was the most that they've ever got filled was this game. Okay, so that makes a little bit more sense. I was like, if you were just going off of the tenant listing, I'd be like, yeah, but if they've had friendlies there and stuff, that makes a little bit more sense why they'd be touting that number, especially when you have like some of the Mexican sides have played there or something and didn't draw more than this. So pretty big deal, I guess. But um, I know I'd heard the stadium name before, but I was like, I don't understand why this is such a big deal that this is the biggest crowd. Like, I was thinking this is maybe a stadium that was made in like the 60s and has just been renovated or something. But no, it's a 3-year-old stadium. Uh, Finish 0-0. They end up, uh, well, my boy Manny Machado was there, former Oriole. It was cool to see him there. He's also like a part owner or something, right? Co-owner. So is Issa Rae. She was there. Um, but not only did Chucky Lozano leave with an injury in the 31st minute, but they didn't mention this on the broadcast, I don't think, but there was a chance of this game getting abandoned because of the chant, the Mexican chant
Yes.
that's always going on. They've got warned like 2 or 3 times during the course of this game, and they put up the warning about this game might get abandoned. So just stop. Just stop. What are we doing? Why is this always a thing?
It always. It's it I mean, they even flirted with the fact, Jordan, of going with less or no fans whenever the US and Mexican teams would play. Like they've banned whole stadium fans. Like,
That'd really make this
again,
crowd special then.
yeah. Honestly, like that's what I think needs to happen. They just need to start to like take it out on the team. Like, if you can't control your fans, throw them out. And if you keep throwing them out, they will either not come back or they will stop. That's it. Like, you can't have these open threats. Oh, we'll abandon the game. Or Jordan, make them forfeit it. Make San Diego forfeit. Like, sorry, there's 3 points to opposing team, and we're done. Goodbye. Enjoy. Like, it just can't keep happening. And they know it's bad. Like, they know it's bad. Or the other thing you could do is start to eliminate supporter groups. But like, because that's where it comes from.
Yep.
It's
Yep.
always the supporter groups. Throw them out. Like, do not let them back. And then they'll learn. So they're like kids. You just got to tell them no and enforce it. If you don't enforce it, it's empty threats. Like, that's what all this becomes. So it's ridiculous.
Portland Timbers. Um, they beat Austin FC 1-0. So there's that. We have Columbus beating New England 1-0. Red Bulls get a win after beating Nashville. Minnesota got a win over Montreal, who is still pointsless. Montreal. They're a wooden spoon contender so far. Lucho gets a goal, and it's 3-3 draw between Dallas and Colorado. And LAFC get 3 points with an 86-minute goal from Ryan Hollingshead beating NYCFC 1-0. Okay, so let's go through the games that we have coming up this week. Tigres and Cincinnati are still playing in the round of 16 right now as of recording, 1-1 in the 40th minute. Later tonight, LAFC Columbus Crew at 10:30. Herediano versus LA Galaxy at 8:30 tomorrow, March 5th. Seattle and Cruz Azul at 10:30. Vancouver versus Monterrey at 10:30. On Thursday, Miami will face Cavalier FC at 8 o'clock. Saturday, March 8th, we have the Columbus Crew and Houston Dynamo at 2:30 p.m. Then at 4:45, we have Seattle and LAFC. That's going to be a fun one. That's also on Fox. 7:30 games are Atlanta versus the Red Bulls, Cincy and Toronto, DC, Kansas City, New England and Philadelphia, New York City FC and Orlando in the 2015 MLS Cup Classico. Just saying because they both entered the league that year. Austin and Colorado at 8:30, Dallas, Chicago at 8:30, Nashville, Portland at 8:30. 9:30, we have RSL versus San Diego, Vancouver, Montreal, and then at 10:30, San Jose, Minnesota. Sunday, we have Miami and Charlotte at 4 o'clock, and LA Galaxy, St. Louis at 7. Any game on this that screams out to you, pick me, watch me?
Yeah, I'll leave one for you. So I'll do the Miami and Charlotte game. 4 o'clock on Sunday afternoon. That'll be a great match. It'll be at Miami. I'm assuming Messi plays. Jordan, I think Charlotte will give them a run. Like Charlotte will defend, and Miami will not. So we will see. It'll be Jordan. It'll be really cool to see Zaha go up against Messi. Those are two pretty good talents. Obviously, Messi's really good, and and Zaha, former Premier League player. Dude, if Charlotte come in here and steal at least a point from Miami, that's a good result for Charlotte. But I do think there is a realistic chance that they could come out of here with 3 points. So I'm looking forward to that match. I think it'll be high powered. I think it'll be the difference. But honestly, the difference in the game will be, can Inter Miami's offensive and attacking prowess go up against Charlotte, who defends extremely well and have the best goalkeeper in MLS? How does that combine? And will Zaha get loose on this Miami defense? Because their defense is just awful. So it should be an interesting one.
I'm going to go with Seattle LAFC. I think that is a really big highlight of the weekend. And it's available for people to just watch on Fox as well. But Seattle needs to get right. LAFC has been, chugging along in these first two games. They haven't looked great, but they're, sitting pretty right now. So it's a Seattle home game. Can Seattle get it going? Or is LAFC going to kind of continue rolling, win another game like 1-0? How about this? Let's do this for this season too. How about Shame of the Week? A game that you would not want to watch.
Of course you would do that. You go first. You go first, because I just literally closed my tab with the whole schedule.
If there was a game that I am actively avoiding, it is DC United and SKC facing off this weekend.
Well, that's a really good one.
Probably going to finish 2-2 or something. But that is a game that I will not have a close eye on.
Oh, you know what? Oh, this is tough. And it's mostly just going to be because of one team, Jordan. I'm going to go with avoid the heck out of... avoid San Jose versus Minnesota.
Really?
I don't feel like Minnesota. Yeah, I just don't feel like Minnesota is that good. It's at PayPal. It's at San Jose. I just feel like San Jose is going to dominate this one again. I think we're going to get on here next week and be talking about like a 3-1, 3-0 victory for San Jose. And we're going to be talking about, man, they are legit. Like, Bruce has turned this thing around. Minnesota loves dropping these kind of games against competitive teams. So yeah, I just don't buy that they'll actually perform. So I was going to pick on Dallas because Dallas has wronged me so many times, but I'll give them more break this time.
They're going up against Berhalter, so they might do good. Okay, let's wrap it up. At Stateside Show on all of our social media, if you want to give us a follow there. You can also like and subscribe to us here on the YouTube channel, or follow us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. You can leave reviews there, let people know how good we are if you think we're good. You can rate us anything. We prefer 5 stars, but you can rate us whatever you actually think. That's it. Have a great rest of your week. Next week, we'll talk about the week 3 games and talk about anything that comes up in between them.